Hey, thanks for checking out this video. Today we're going to talk about tenants in common and joint tenants and the differences between those two. Now, just to be clear, we are not talking about anything tenancy related. This is not a lettings topic. This is very much a sales topic. Okay, so what do tenants in common mean? This is when each party has their own defined shares. And these shares, can I just add, these could be unequal. You can leave your shares to someone else in your will. So you are able to transfer these shares, and you also don't need the permission of the other party. These are often paired with something called a deed of trust, and this is something that is to protect each person's financial position. So what are tenants in common and what are joint tenants? Firstly, they do sound very similar, but let me assure you, they are very different things. Buyers often misunderstand them, so it's worth me clearing this up before anybody buys a property together. Okay, so let's start with joint tenants. What does that actually mean? Joint tenants is when you buy all of the property together, so there are no separate shares, okay? You must also act together, so you can't sell a portion independently. If unfortunately one of the parties to this agreement were to pass away, there is something called a right of survivorship, and this means that the ownership of that property will automatically go to the other party or parties. This is regardless of any will, so this is quite a key point. Often you'll find that joint tenants is something better suited to couples who want the home to pass on directly to the surviving partner. Okay, so now let's put those side by side and let's try and do it in one breath. The big differences: joint tenants is equal rights, no separate shares, and automatic inheritance. Tenants in common is separate shares, flexible inheritance, and independent control. How do I know which one of these agreements I've got in place? It's a great question, and I'm glad you've asked. The key here is to check with your transfer deeds, your lease, or any other purchasing document, and of course, HM Land Registry will have a record of this. Hey Simon, I've checked with HM Land Registry and I found out that I've got X. Can I change it? The good news is you can. And why might somebody change once you've put one of these agreements in place later down the line? Listen, things happen. You might have a new financial arrangement, you might break up, families might evolve. So the good news is that you can change. You can change from joint tenants to tenants in common with something called severance. Going the other way does require everybody's agreement, of course. So the key of all of this is to make sure that you pick the correct ownership model for your circumstances. The right ownership model really does matter. It matters for future, it matters for flexibility, and it matters for fairness. If anyone's unsure before buying a property and going into one of these arrangements, do seek legal advice, or of course, if you're thinking of changing one of these agreements, I would also encourage you to go and do the same, so go and check some legal advice. That's Simon Fineling, everybody. Thank you so much.